Hey, thanks for joining us today for the Stamp and Scrapbook Expo event. We're making Valentine's Slim purple and this really pretty glitter paper. And I've layered it on the shadow die that comes with it. And I did the shadow feature in the vellum. I love how the vellum just kind of makes the sentiment pop off the card without being too much of an overwhelming base for it there. And I've already cut that out and glued it together for us. And we're just gonna glue it all down like so. And then we're gonna add some of our silver glossy hearts. These are really pretty. They almost look mirrored. And just they add a little bit of sparkle and shine with some hearts. So let's glue this down. Now we're going to glue down the sentiment, Hello Beautiful, and since it has the vellum, I want to be careful where I put my glue so that you don't see the glue through the other side. So I'm just going to add glue where the wording is, and that's going to disguise our glue a little bit. Now we have our Hello Beautiful adhered down, and I'm going to add those sparkly silver glossy hearts. There. Now we have a gorgeous but simple, easy to put together Valentine or a Galentine card. For our next card, watch out guys, this is a super sneaky peek. You are getting the first look at something we are releasing January 20th. So in just a few days here, we're going to be releasing this stamp set called 𝐂𝐲𝐧𝐧𝐞. And I'll give you a little peek. This is the main image here. So I've stamped it. We have coordinating dies. So I die cut it out and I colored it with just some Copic markers. And then I stamped one of the sentiments. It says, "You are always on my mind and in my heart." So that's a beautiful sentiment for Valentine's Day. And you can always write or stamp inside Happy Valentine's Day or whatever else that you would like. The stamp set also comes with the butterfly stamps and coordinating dies. So we're going to be using those. I'm going to be using our plaid slimline dies. I love this plaid slimline die. It just gives a nice background for a variety of, you could use it for any occasion. You could put anything in front of this and it's going to look good. So here we have our card base now with that beautiful plaid on the front. And so like I mentioned, I've just stamped out this image from our brand new 𝐂𝐲𝐧𝐧𝐞 stamp set and cut it out with a coordinating die. And I've added some dimensional foam tape on the back just to pop it off the card a little and add some dimension to the card. Now I'm just going to add a couple of these little butterflies from the stamp set. And I've also added dimensional foam tape to the back of them for some more dimension. And there we have beautiful Valentine's card. But if you don't celebrate Valentine's Day, these cards are perfect for giving to your loved ones any time of the year. For our next card, we are going to be using some gold glossy hearts, pretty and shiny. And we're going to be using our perfect couple stamp set. So I have colored in these adorable little bears. For the background, I've cut out a piece with our layered slimline dies. So I've used that die to cut this pink piece for our card base. And I've just cut it slightly smaller than our cards so we have a nice white frame around it. So we'll glue that down. So now we have our card base. Now I've cut the same size piece in this lime green, but I've taken our layered circle dies and I've cut out some circles where I want our images to go. It's always nice to anchor or frame your images to your card so they don't just look like they're floating. And then I stamped from that Perfect Couple stamp set, "I love you so very much." I thought that was sweet. So let's glue down this piece. There, so now we have our card base ready to go. It kind of looks like Swiss cheese in a way with our circles cut out. Now we can add our colored images. So there we go. Now we have our card. Isn't that sweet? A little bear couple. Now I'm going to add some embellishment with the gold glossy hearts. There we have it, our finished card. I have to turn it a little sideways to get the whole slimline card in the frame. For our next card, we're going to make a shaker card. So I've got a layering piece to go on our white card base. Again, the card is 8.5 by 3.5 folded. I cut it just ever so slightly smaller than the card base, just so we have a little white trim. I thought the little white trim around it would look good. So let's go ahead and glue that down. The scalloped piece is in the Sympathy Slimline die, comes with this nice scalloped frame. And the hearts, I've used our double stitched heart dies, which when you cut them out to make a frame like this, you get the stitching around it. And when you cut just the heart out, you also get the stitching around the heart. So it has stitching on each side of the die line. So whether you cut it out to make a negative piece, you'll get stitching, or you cut it out and you use the heart, you'll get stitching. So I've cut 3 hearts out with our double stitched heart dies. So that's where our little shaker pieces are going to go underneath those hearts. So I've taken a piece of acetate, clear acetate paper, and I've glued that to the back of this piece here. You can see it shining there with the light on it. So after I glue the acetate, I need to cover the back in foam tape because you want it to have dimensions so that your shaker pieces can shake around inside. And as you'll notice, around each of the heart cutouts, I've completed a frame of foam tape. So there's not enough room for any of the shaker pieces to come out of the heart frame where I want them to stay and kind of move around. I've cut some of the hearts out of some pink cardstock, and I want to put the top and the bottom, I want to give them a pink background instead of this teal, just to add a little bit more color. So I'm gonna glue those down in place. So now we have our card base with our 2 little pink hearts, and we're ready to create the shaker card. So I am using, I would call this like super chunky glitter. I just think it's really pretty and iridescent. And I'm gonna put some on these hearts where I want it to shake around. All right, so I'm gonna try to clean up some of these stray pieces because I want them to stay within my little heart frames that I made with the foam tape, if you remember on the back of my piece. Within that, I think that'll do. Now we can take off the backing of our foam and lay our top piece down. Okay, now I have all the backing off of my foam adhesive. So we're gonna just place our frame down like so. And then you wanna press it really good, nice and firm. Oop, I was off just a hair, put it a little bit low, that's okay. Now we have our shaker card. Oh, I love it. We've got all those little sparkly glitter in there with the glitter paper on top. This is super sparkly Valentine's card. And I have another sneaky peek for you. If you're watching the replay later on, we have these products available. And as of right now, these are going to be released on January 20th. These are our little cherubs, or you might call them cupids. So we're gonna glue these down along with, I've got a couple of sentiments we're gonna put with it. These come with the set. We've got sending love, and the other one we're gonna add is hugs and kisses. Oh my goodness, if that's not the cutest thing ever. So super sweet and really sparkly too. Okay, so we've done 4 Valentine cards so far, but we're not done yet. We got 2 more to go. So I've cut out a little frame that has an inside scallop, and this frame is from our Blessings Slimline dies. So that's a nice little frame to have. It just has an inner scallop, which is really pretty. I've cut it out of a silver glitter paper. We're going to use, from our last card, the shaker card, we're going to use those 3 hearts that we cut out of the glitter paper to make our shaker frames. We're going to use those. Out of that double stitched heart die, I just used the bigger one and cut out a heart of the vellum. And we've got this adorable little hedgehog that I've colored and cut out here. He is from our Hedgehogs stamp set. And we've got coordinating dies for that. And I've got the sentiment, love you always, stamped and just kind of cut out with a little pennant flag edge there. I'm going to put this piece of pink cardstock down on the card front and be our layering piece. So now we have a card base that has a nice white border around it. I've cut that pink piece the same size as the frame. So this frame gives you a little bit of a white border on your card. All right, so let's glue down this frame. Okay, so here's our card base. It was really pretty pink with a silver little scalloped frame around it. And what I wanted to do is have our heart kind of going off the side of the card, and I'm going to trim it where it goes off the card. We're going to have our little guy floating on the side of the heart there. Okay, I'm going to put our sentiment down this way, and then we're going to add these 3 little hearts here and there. And wherever, right? Here and there and everywhere. Yes, okay, so I'm just going to glue these down. And there, I just kind of shimmied the little sentiment underneath the frame there, so it would be underneath. And now I'm just going to trim an edge off of the heart there so it won't go too far over the edge of our card. And I decided to hold down this side of the vellum heart. I would just kind of tack it right underneath the edge of that top heart, and it will hold it all down nicely. And there's another card. Just another sweet little Valentine's card that you can also use any time of the year. Last but not least, we're going to make a really cute Valentine card with a brand new, not even released as of yet. While I'm making this video, it's going to be released January 20th, 2021. It's our RAR set. So it's an adorable dinosaur set. For this card, we're going to make a fun folding card. So I've cut out a bunch of sheets of pattern paper, and these fun, bright patterns are from our Warm Wishes paper pad. Okay, so it's a 6x6 paper pad, and you may go, oh, but it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom. But that's okay, because this piece right here is going to cover it up at the bottom. So we're all good. So I'm just going to adhere down all of our pattern paper pieces. Okay, so here's our Slimline card base. So it is 8.5 by 3.5 folded, with the front flap is just folded back in half. So then I just put a strip of pattern paper here and a piece on the inside here. So this piece, just imagine, is the same width as our Slimline card. So it's 3.5 when folded, 4 inches tall. Okay, and the same thing, you just fold one flap back. So it's going to look like this, like 3 panels, kind of like accordion fold here. We're going to glue the small piece to the inside of the card, and then this big flap here is going to glue to the end of the small piece on the front. And that's how it will go together. Let's put these guys on the inside, because I wanted to tuck the circle a little bit below this piece here, because I want them to be the surprise on the inside. So I want this circle here on the outside to cover it up. So let's glue that about here. I'm going to lay this here just to see where it's going to fall, so that I can glue down my dinosaurs. Right above. So I've also stamped out the sentiment, your dynamite, but I want to back it on this dark pink cardstock so it pops off the background a little better. So I'm going to glue that down and then cut around it. So now we have the inside of this card decorated, so we can put the actual card together now. And this larger flap goes on the small flap on the front of the card. You just want to make sure you just put glue on the half that's going to stick to the flap on the card. I'll also close the card down and press it really good, just to make sure everything goes in place. All right, so now I'm going to glue together my stitch circle and my scallop circle piece. And here we have our little fun folding Dinosaur Slimline Valentine card. Isn't that the cutest? So thanks for joining me today as we made some super cute, fun, and whimsical Valentine Slimline cards. If you haven't tried Slimline cards yet, this is the perfect time to do it. I hope you've enjoyed the cards we created, and that until we see you again, my friends, keep living the creative life.
Hello everyone, it's Karen Burniston. I am a die designer and I'm here to talk about our website, KarenBurniston.com, and what you will find there. And we are running a special this week where you can get free US shipping on orders over $25. You do not need a code for that. Okay, so let's talk about dies. We actually just released a few that are geared towards slimline cards. So we have our very popular crosshatch style that we already offer in rectangles, ovals, squares, and circles. Now we have them in the long rectangles, and those are sized to fit slimlines. So every other die is going to give you that crosshatch pattern. And then in between, interspersed, you get the ones that are solids with just a little score line in them. So they layer really nicely. And then in this set, it gets you down until, you have a really nice long fishtail banner on the inside. Okay, so long rectangles crosshatch is one of our newest dies. Then we have also our long nature edges. Now those can be used for any season. Obviously there's grass and there's stitch tails and then there's evergreen trees, at holidays and stuff. Of course you can use them, with snow and everything, but they could also just be for, dirt and mounds. And then you can cut those down. So when you want to use those edges on smaller cards, then you have those as well. Okay, so those are our long nature edges. You get the, like I said, the double stitched hill and then your grass and then the trees. Okay, and then one of my favorites, we're going to use this one on our project today. These are our slim frames. So they're sized so that you can fit 4 of them perfectly spaced across a slimline card. And those work perfectly on the front of the card, but obviously you could use them on the inside, and they don't even have to be on a slimline card. They can be for anything, but you get the rectangular frame and the oval frame, and then you get all of the, ovals and rectangles that you need to kind of layer them up, and then a little heart comes in that set as well. So you can see that one used here, and then here's one where we've got the little gnomes kind of peeking out of the frames. That's our Gnome and Santa die set. Fits any of our animals or charms or anything will fit perfectly in those frames. And you can see here that these are really focused on the card fronts, just a simple, you can see the crosshatch used again here. And there's those slim frames kind of layered up again on the inside. But of course, our specialty is pop-ups. So one of our newest pop-ups is the Mini Pops pop-up, and this one's just a generic little set of 4 platforms that can be used on pretty small cards. So I kind of designed this one knowing that a lot of people are liking to make slimline cards, but of course you can use it in any size cards. You can combine those together, or you can use them independently. And the actual video tutorial for this die set showing how to use this die set is this card here, which is a slimline design. Obviously when the video came out, it was right before Christmas, so I did it in a Christmas theme. But this is a slimline where I kind of subdivided it into 4 flaps, and then each one opens to reveal one of those little Mini Pops pop-ups. So in this case, the stair step pop-up, there's that fishtail banner out of the crosshatch long rectangles. I've just cut it down to fit. And then this one opens this way, and then one of those slim frames pops up on one of the angled platforms. Then this one opens this way, another slim frame on an angled platform, and then the L pops up the 4th of the Mini Pops platforms, which is the spiral. And then that's kind of decorated with some greenery. So some of our other die sets used on that to decorate. So this one has been a very popular card. People really like this idea of subdividing the slimline into 4 little sections. So we're going to make a card like this tonight, but it is going to be in a love theme. Okay, so what I did is I started with 9x4 on my piece of cardstock, and then I made the flaps out of the same cardstock that are going to subdivide this into 4 sections. So I just, got my calculator out and said, well, what's 9 inches divided by 4? And that was 2 1/4. So I knew that each one of these flaps, the main part, needed to be 2 1/4 by 4. And then depending on where I wanted it to attach and which way I wanted it to open, I added a little flap. Okay, so step 1. I'm going to attach all of my flaps to my main piece. I am a glue person. I like 𝐂𝐨𝐬𝐭 neutral pH adhesive in my fine tip bottle. We do sell both of those items on our website, but I love a dries clear glue. That's good for me because I'm a little sloppy with glue at times. And I'm just going to go through. Now, then what I do is I put it in our fine tip bottle, and we offer that in 2 gauges. So the 20 gauge is the skinnier tip, and the 18 is a little bit wider, which I tend to use the most. And then I just use a glass jar, and we kind of have a picture of this on our website too, with a damp paper towel inside that I keep those needle tips down in when I'm working, and that way they don't clog up and I don't have to recap them all the time or unclog them. Okay, so using my glue on my flaps, I'm going to use the first one to decide where the second one goes, so that they'll butt up next to each other in the finished card. And then same thing with the next one. So I think what's super fun about Slimline cards is just all of the real estate that you have, to decorate, and how you can really have fun, like in this case, cutting it down. You just have all sorts of options. It doesn't have to be just one opening card. It could be a gatefold card, or lots of things you can do with it. So I like to use magnets from 𝐂𝐴 Magnetics. They're my favorite. I don't have any affiliation. I just like them. And, because they're super thin but super strong. Right here. Okay, so now I've got my magnets on my base card, and then I'm going to let the other ones stick to the inside of these magnets. Right here like this. Okay, so now those are stuck on the inside. What I can do then is just add a glue dot to the underside of each one. Okay, like this. And of course it's going to pull it off of there because it's not stuck with anything except just the magnetic pull right now. But then that will allow us to move that magnet to the base of the card in exactly the right position. And I'm not being at all careful about making sure my glue dot stays only on the magnet, because all of this is going to be covered up with paper. So this is just getting kind of the bones of the card. Oops, that came off on my fingernails. All right, so now what we do is we close each card, because each one of these magnets is sticky, and then it's going to move the magnet where it needs to go. Okay, so now we have our base card. I kind of feel like this is a little flimsy for all that I'm going to ask it to do, to hold up pop-ups. So we're going to add a piece of cardstock to the back. Okay, that feels much more sturdy. Okay, I went stash diving and just found a pretty piece of Valentine's-y kind of paper. It wouldn't have to be the same paper. I just made it easy on myself. I kind of was just following my guideline. And then I also kind of already pre-assembled the slim frames for the O, V, and E, and I was just going to show on the L how I did it. So these pieces here are actually in the slim frame set. So I used the frame itself out of the red hearts paper, and then I used the big rectangle out of cream, and then I used the stitched rectangle out of just a slightly different cream for a little bit of variation. And then what I'm going to do is just add my glue behind my frame, and I'll put the big rectangle on first, and then sink my stitched frame or stitched rectangle in the middle. And then I've used our alphabet set to do the letters. So we just have a good block alphabet set. Let me see, make sure that that goes about where the one before, about the center. Okay, and then I'm just going to glue these 4 on. But how cute would it be to put little photos in the frames? That would be adorable. Okay, front of my card is essentially done. I might add some little hearts and things later, but now we're going to move on to the inside. Okay, there are 4 pop-up platforms in the Mini Pop set, so 4 dies, and 3 of them are glue-in. So the 2 angled platforms and the spiral, those are glue-in pop-ups, which means that you cut them, fold them, and glue them over the fold, okay? But the stair-step platform is actually a cut-in pop-up. So what that means is that you put the alignment nubs right over the fold of any size card, anywhere along the fold, and then you run it through your die cutting machine. I do recommend some double stick, removable, not double stick, but removable tape to hold it in place so it doesn't slide. And then what that's going to do is cut the pop-up right into the card. And all you have to do is train it, okay? This little Mini Pops stair-step platform is really easy to train. First thing you do is just fold in the center, which you already have a score line there, so it's gonna remember that. I like to back fold it because I just find it's easier for me to see score lines if I've back folded it, but it would work either way. So if you find you're using pattern paper and it's easier to see, like in this case, the teal might be easier to see, then fold it front ways, doesn't matter. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the big section in the middle and fold it where it stops. There's score lines there, and we're gonna fold through both layers back and forth, and then back up to where we started. And actually next to that are these little smaller stair steps, and same thing, we're gonna just fold down where the cut ends. There's a score line across there. So we go through both layers. Okay, and then everything comes back to where you started. Then you open up, let's turn it around so that hearts are facing forward. And then from behind, you can actually just push against the fold, and it's going to remember that training that you did, and it'll pop those little stair steps to come in. You don't have to do that top one yet. We haven't even trained it. Sometimes it'll just go on its own. But then see how simple and generic that is? And then you have that optional upper platform as well. So then same idea from the back of the piece. If you fold this fold down, then you can grab it and give it a little training, put it back where it started, pop it out into the card. And then you've got that little multi-tier stair-step platform. And then as far as gluing that inside a backing card, because you'll want a backing card because it leaves a hole, obviously. So then just make sure that you put your adhesive everywhere except the hole, everywhere where it's just flat. And you can do one side and then the other. That's probably what I'll do since I'm using glue. So I've coated the back wall. And then what I like to do, let's see, let me move my other things here, is I like to take my thumbnails and get the fold in the fold, and then I can slide it on the floor of the pop-up because it doesn't have any adhesive on it yet, so that I make sure that I'm centered. Okay, ooh, I just barely covered my magnet, so that's gonna need a little heart or something there. Okay, and then I just press the background to the card. Then I fold this up, add my adhesive everywhere else. Now it's going to become easier because it's already anchored inside the card. So I can either press it down like this, I can close the card, some combination of both. It doesn't really much matter, but you can, I just barely covered my magnet. Okay. And it's got enough hold too, which is nice because I wasn't sure adding all that paper if it would still hold, but it does. Okay, and then see how generic that is, so anything can go on that. Okay, then for the other ones, I'm going to put the paper in first. I think this one, and we're going to rotate these papers. And again, just the same paper, the authentic paper. And then I'm actually not sure who makes this one. It was an older one as well. I just found basically half a sheet of it in my scrap bin. That's the nice thing about cards like this is, you don't need a ton of paper. It doesn't all have to match. You could definitely do 4 different styles in this kind of card. Okay, this one's just a glue in over the fold. So okay, my paper is in, and now I'm going to add my other 3 platforms. So the 2 angled platforms actually work the exact same way. They just have different angles and different heights to them so that you get a little variation. But in both cases, there is a score line right up the middle that you work, and then while it's folded, you can actually get the one that's kind of halfway down the tails, the legs, at the same time. And then those are going to fold inward. So essentially all 3 of the folds in each piece all fold the same way. So I like to say they're mountain folds, where you're looking at the top of a mountain like this. and all three of them are mountain folds. Same thing with this one. Okay, so then the way you install this inside the card is you use the outer two panels that get the adhesive. Okay, like this and this. And now that can go anywhere along the fold of a card, and you can experiment with whether it's popping, you know, up out of the card or down away from the card. If you were in a top fold card, you could experiment with different angles. But what you want is you want this tapered edge to line up with the fold of the card. And actually, let me make sure I do mine right. Which way did I do it? I did it like this. Yeah, I thought I did. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go towards the top since I'm trying to get a frame in here. And I'm going to let the fold of the card kind of, oh well, maybe I'll do half and then I'll do the other half. Let's do it that way. That's how I normally do it anyway. I was trying to cheat a little bit on time here. Okay, so basically I've glued the back half right here, and then if I close the card against that exposed adhesive, then it'll pick up the other. Yeah, there it goes. Okay, so you can see how simple that is. It's just a little angled platform. But in a side fold card, if you put something on the upper platform, then you get motion to it. And the little small one has a more severe angle, so you get a little bit more motion to it. Whereas this one works exactly the same way, but because it's a less extreme angle and also because it's built a little taller, then you get just a different motion to it. So they work the same, they're just slightly different. And then we're going to have that angled down into the card like this, so it'll pop that frame up. I just want to make sure that the fold, the edge of the fold is right in the fold of the card. And it's basically right now I've glued down this back section, and then holding it in place, I just close the card against that other leg. Okay. Since I'm using glue and going kind of fast, I just take my time when I open it. So I don't know, I guess you can kind of tell the difference. You know, see, this one's taller than that one, but that one is more angled, so you get different motion to it. Okay, and then the final pop-up that we're going to put in is the spiral. So spiral is just such a simple pop-up. The whole concept of a spiral is the center is glued on one side of the card and the end is glued on the other side of the card. And then when you open it, you know, it'll expand. So it doesn't matter which side gets the center and which side gets the outside, but don't guess. In other words, whatever you do, you place it and then you close the card to attach the other side. You don't stretch it across and say, oh, I wonder if it would work if it was right here, you know, because you have no idea if that's going to be the exact spot to collapse down again. But it's not a very big spiral, so when you're putting one side down, I'll just do the center. You know, you're not going to be able to be too far away from the fold because it's not a huge spiral. It won't work if you go all the way out here because you don't have the room for it to expand that far. So I'm going to say, oh, here-ish. See, I'm a little bit away from the fold on here, and I think that's going to work. Okay, and then now what's going to happen is this is going to stretch across. So I put the adhesive on top for the outer section of the spiral. Okay, and then I just close the card against that end of the adhesive and it'll pick it up. Yep, oops, and then it'll pop off because it's glue and I don't like to wait. So, okay, let me just reach in there and give it a good pinch. Okay, so simple little spiral pop-up, and then anything that you add into the, you know, the spiral on all these little things is going to pop up. Okay, so I finished up my love version, and I really did just follow the Noel version, but just swapped out for some different charms. So on this one, I'd used the holiday charms, but for the love version, I used our love charms. And then I also used our Happy Valentine's Day inside the card. Okay, so first section, I pretty much just kind of followed it, swapping out for love charms. Then on this one, same thing. I did a vertical slim frame with a little chocolate bar on it. Then for this one, a horizontal oval frame, this time with, again, love charms on it. And then I think my biggest deviation was in the final one, because on this one, I had a spiral with a whole bunch of greenery attached to it, an ornament. And on my love one, what I decided to do instead was to animate the Happy Valentine's Day by attaching it to the spiral. So when you open it, you know, there's some hearts on the spiral, but then the Happy Valentine's Day actually pops up. So that's kind of a fun thing. So there you go. A Valentine's version of this popular Slimline 4-panel card. Okay, so we've talked before about how cool Slimline cards are in that you have so much real estate, but then that can also be a lot to decorate. So here's one that I did where I actually extended one of our pop-ups so that it could be a 6-panel instead of 4 and fill up some of that space inside that Slimline. But another idea is actually just to make smaller version of cards, you know, on the front of your Slimline. So if you're doing a pop-up, then of course that'll fit in that smaller version. That one I actually did twice. This is our pop and swap die set, and you can kind of see those slim frames and things on that. Here's one where I just took part of it to make a partial pop-up, and then there's that mini pops behind there in the spiral on this one. To see these dies and more, just head on over to our website, KarenBurniston.com. Thanks for watching.
Hi everyone. So today for this expo we're talking about Slimline. So I have a couple of Slimlines I would like to show you that we've created, and then we will go ahead with the demo. So here is a cute little Valentine Slimline that we had, that we used our Slimline chevron dies, our card bases, and then just more of our dies. I wanted to show a video today that didn't have us doing any coloring. So in all of our samples we're going to show you, the 3 samples, they're just using dies and papers and that sort of thing. So this is our Cute Forever die, and I layered it 4 different colors with our banner die, and I just made this really simple classic colors of the red, white, and black for Valentine's. Another one that I created, and I like this one a lot, I don't know on camera if it shows how dimensional it is, but this is our polka dot Slimline die, our scalloped edge die layered with our frame die. So that's 3 different slim die dies right on here, and I just love how the scallop kind of peeks under the frame and it gives it a little bit more femininity. So what I did on this one is I cut out my polka dots, and then one of our stamps has these little baby icons, our Annie special delivery stamp. So I stamped them into the circles and just did coloring on those to make a cute little background. And then this is our You Are So Loved die that I matted 3 different times, and I created this CAS, nice, clean, and simple Valentine card. And then the last one that I did was this shaker Valentine cards, and I tried to do it in traditional with a twist color as well. So I have, these are our brand new shaker bits that we are carrying, and I just pulled all the colors from that to make my stripes with my coordinating paper, and it just says we just fit. This is the demo. We are going to be making this one today with you. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to need are some card bases. So we carry our own line of card bases. You get 10 in a pack with 10 envelopes. Our card bases are a little bit wider than what others might be, only because they fit our stamps a little bit better, and our stamps are about 3 inches, so we needed them to be a little bit wider than normal. You're also going to need our Shaker Basics. This is Shaker Basics Set 1. I know it says 2 on here, but it was packaged wrong. And we're going to be using our circle shaker frame and base. And then we have our banner dies. We're going to be using our banner for our sentiment. And then you can, these are some of our Slimline dies that we carry. We have this really cute, this is the one we're gonna be using today. It's our rectangle. This was our polka dot. This is just our Slimline basic frame. And then we have that scallop one I mentioned, and then the chevron one, which was the one in the first example. So these are the different dies that you can be using when you're creating your cards. And I just wanted to show you that we don't always just do coloring videos, and we wanted to show you guys different ways of things that we can create. So I'm gonna go ahead, I already got my pieces all cut and prepped out to save some time for this demo. So here's my card base. I'm gonna set that aside. This is, oop, not that piece. This is my shaker pieces I need. The base to my Slimline, more parts to my shaker. And then I have these strips that we're gonna be using. Let's get the flaggy parts out to create our stripes. And then this is our heart puzzle die, and this die actually comes with two different sizes, a small heart and then the large heart. This is actually the small sized heart that I'm using, and it takes up a good section of our shaker, so you can just see how much our larger one would be. These are the new shaker book bits that we're going to be using, and then these are our really popular, they don't stay in stock very long. These are our jelly dots in Rosy Periwinkle. So we're gonna go ahead, and the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna start prepping parts of our shaker. Now, when I do shakers, you can use foam tape, or you can use multiple layers for your chipboards and stuff. Let me zoom in here for you guys. Sorry. That's probably better. So when you can use foam tape, I'm not very good at the foam tape in a circle. I usually end up with gaps. But if I was using a square or a rectangle, I would probably just use the foam tape on that. But since this is a circle and I need to create that, that depth for my wall that we're gonna be building, I just cut out extra circles in my chipboard so that I can make that into my wall instead. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Hold on, I need to open up my glue here. Okay, and so we're just going to take our extra pieces of chipboard and we're just gonna stack and glue them all together. Now, how much do you, I'm using 4, if you're not sure, these are super, super flat and thin like a sheet of paper shaker bits. I have some that are chunkier in the shop, so it just depends on which shaker bits you're using to justify how thick you want your wall to be. But since mine are relatively flat, I don't have to go crazy making this super, super tall and thick. So I'm just gonna start creating the wall, and I'm gonna just layer one on top of the other. And because they're all cut from a die, they're all gonna lay perfectly nestled on top of one another. So that is one layer. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our second. And I just find that doing this is a lot quicker for me as well than using foam tape if I'm trying to do it with a circle, like I said. But when it's a straight line, I can put down foam tape in a straight line, but just not so great in the circle. So there's that. Now we're gonna do another layer here. And I'm just making sure they all line up, and then making sure it's glued really well together. So that is our channel parts, and that needs to go down on a solid background. So this is the other part of our shaker, and our shaker basic die set has everything coordinating perfectly. They all fit well inside one another. They're pretty much foolproof in making shakers. And then we have add-on toppers for our shaker basics that you can change the fronts of them. This is just the basic circle, but we have a topper on here that will change this into a wreath for Christmas. We have a rectangle one that turns into a present, and they all coordinate beautifully with one another. So this is your bottom half of your shaker, and now for your top you need your frame and your acetate. And let me just clean that off really quick. And now we're going to adhere our acetate to our front window panel. And the most important part about knowing how to do shakers is just making sure that when you're putting down your wall and your frames or whatever, is that there's no gaps in between for your shaker bits to come out of. And I got a little bit of glue on my frame here. I can just wipe that up later. So here is my top frame that will go on top. I'm just gonna let this dry for a little bit. So we're gonna put this aside and we'll start creating the card part. So here is our rectangle frame from our die. And then I have pre-cut my little strips to fit in here. And I just want them to go in a specific order, so I know I want the light pink, and then medium, and then our hot pink, and then the turquoise, and then our blue, and then our pink again. And then these two are going to be covered by our circle, like in our example here. So these two panels here, I actually don't even have to bother gluing in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and start gluing these into my frame piece here. And we're just going to line them up enough that it just covers our section on the top side. And you know, let me get like so. And we're just going to repeat these for all of these little channel windows that we're making here. So I'm just gonna, they hit on the side. So I'm just going to quickly go ahead and put these down like so. And then because we're using some liquid glue, we have that little bit of wiggle room. So super, super easy design concept that we're doing. But I think it gives a really nice look to the card, and it matches those cute little sprinkles that you're going to be adding. So we need turquoise is next, and then the dark blue. Ooh, that one turned upside down. So here we go there. And again, doesn't matter what your back side looks like, you just want your front side to be, and then we can always trim these little side pieces that are overhanging a little bit. Okay, and then we need this one to be pink, and we're almost done with our card here. Again. And all I did was when I cut out this die, obviously these pieces came out, so I knew what size they needed to be. And then I just extended them so that they would fall in the channels on the side so that the glue would be able to reach it. Okay, so just get this last one into place like so. And now we have the start of our card base. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to simply take this and I am going to, well, I'm going to trim that, and then I'm just going to adhere it to the center of my card like so. So let me just get my scissors and cut these little pieces that are overhanging off from the side. This one too, over here. Oops. Just trying to get it in there a little bit so the overhang doesn't show. And ideally, if you use double-sided tape, you could do that as well. I want to cut this blue one down a little bit more, but I think it might be too stuck on there now. Well, it's not really showing, so we're okay. All right, so there is the frame again. So now I'm just going to take it, and since I want my hearts over here, I know that I want my pattern going this way, so I want to make sure my card is opened to the right side. And now we're just going to add our adhesive. Again, you can even foam tape this on if you want to give it some dimension. And I'm just going to make sure I'm adding glue to the edges. Okay, now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to center this into my card base. And what I love is that the card bases come in that pack of 10 with the envelope, so I don't have to actually create my Slimline card. I already know that they're made for me, that I can save a little bit of time by just going ahead and starting my card. I love card bases. We put them in our grab and go boxes as well, because we just love that you can just kind of go right forward. So there is our card base. Okay. So then the next thing that we will be doing is we're going to take back that shaker part and we're going to go ahead and glue that. Now the shaker is exactly the same width as our card, which makes it really, really nice. So I don't even have to worry about trying to center it this way. So all I'm gonna do is I wanna center it, well, not center it, I wanna line it up, butt it up right close to that stitched mark on the side there. So just grab some glue. And it's just easier for me to do it going this way so that I can make sure it's lined up perfectly on my card, like so. Okay, so that's as easy it is getting that on there. And see, now those two stripes have any crazy chunky parts that I then, so I'm just layering them in a single layer as best as I can, just for the initial gluing of the top piece on. I think that should be okay. All right, so then you're just gonna take your frame. I'm gonna put the glue down on here because the acetate is slippery when you put the glue on it. So just get a really good seal. Again, it's going to line up perfectly because it's all coordinated dies. And then and our glue dries clear, so we don't have to worry. Some of it's seeped in there, but that'll be okay. I just won't shake it, so We don't want a shaker to be stuck on there. So that is, oh, one escaped. Okay, so then we still have our hearts to do, and then our sentiments. So we have, in my original one, I just had the We Fit, but then I also thought it would be cute to add a double tag, maybe that We Fit, and then I love you, because this, again, it's not the most traditional in colors for Valentine's, and that's what I like about it. But we want it to be a Valentine's card, so that's why I figured the I love you could be cute on there. So I'm just taking, the banner dies. Really quick, let me show you something really, really fun and cool about these banner dies. So the banner dies comes with 4 different styles. You have the fishtail, the slanted, the pendant, and another fishtail, but this one has an arrow on it. And then each solid piece comes with 2 covers. So you have a decorative cover on each of them, and then you have a border cover on each of them. But what is really, really cool that I love about them is, so they layer obviously, but what I love about especially the one that is the frame, when you're trying to do the frame one, sometimes you have sentiments that are smaller. And actually, so if I use this alone without a frame, you can see there's like a big gap on there. And sometimes it just doesn't work well. That's why we created the little frame, so it kind of grounds it a little bit. But what's also great is when you cut out your frame for your banner, you also get this really amazing tiny little inner cut. And that one would work really perfect. Also, if you didn't want to do a frame one, you can cut your sentiment using this, but it would only cut on the inside, and then you get that skinnier little banner die. So it's almost like you're getting 4 extra in here from these inside pieces, and they work really, really well, like I said, for those smaller sentiments or those skinnier sentiments. So that's why we love our banner dies as much as we do as well. Okay, so sorry, rambled. Let me go back. Now we're going to do our frame, and we're just going to add a little bit of glue along the edges, like so. And then we are going to line it up onto our sentiment die cut. Just move that there. Here we go. Again, lines up beautifully. Just helps to frame. I mean, look at the difference when you frame it. That one just has too much white space, positive space, and now it just is more grounded. It just, I just think it helps a lot when you have those smaller sentiments to look like they belong a little bit better than having that big old wide open area on there. And now we're just going to repeat for our second one. Cut this color to match the other stripes. So like so. And then what we're gonna do, this is all dry by now, we want to kind of figure out where we are going to be positioning our hearts so that we know where we want to tuck under that. Because I don't want this big old white part to show through. I just want it to be, and we're going to be able to pop dot the one part here. And I just kind of want it to be like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my foam tape really quick. That way it's just balanced a little bit so that I can plan a little bit better where I'm going to be positioning them. So I'm just going to take some pop dots or pop squares because I think we need to double it. Yeah, so it's going to need to be a double, double pop. So it now will line up with our frame, because that frame is double high from the chipboard. And now I'm just going to do the same on my other frame, like so. So double it up. Okay, so now I can plan it a little bit better of how I want it to be, like that. And then I'm going to have this covering go over here. I'm going to push these in just a little bit more, I think, like so. Okay, so it's going to be something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go grab a spare piece of anything that you have, just to help so that I know where I'm going to be putting down my glue. And I'm just going to go ahead and get this heart down on these two pieces here, since I know they're going to go like so. And then I can go ahead and remove, go ahead and glue this one like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and grab this pink one. Get it glued on there. Put that into position. And now I'll be ready to go ahead and remove my foam taping in the back here and get my glue on the back side of the heart there. And I just want to line up and tack down. And there we have our little tacks. And then just to jazz it up a little bit, we're going to grab some jelly dots. We have these in several colors. They should be all back in stock by the time this video is airing. And we just want to grab like three of our dots, maybe 4. Let's see when we start playing where we're going to put them. Let's see if we put, and I'm putting them on the white part. Wait, is that the flats? There we go. And on these jelly dots, one side is flattened and the other is like a ball. So they really just glue down nice. Actually, let's put this one there. I think we're going to do it like so. And all it takes is a super small dot of glue. Make sure you have the flat side down. And again, if you're using clear drying glue, I just love these little jelly dots. They just add a nice little bit of color and dimension for your cards. Okay, so we only ended up using the 3 instead of 4, so let me put this one away, and a couple of them, just like that stray heart, escaped my bag off camera. And then here we have our shaker non-traditional colors, but fun. So this one just is the We Fit. This one has the extra little I love you. So these are, again, different Valentine style cards that you can make just using your slimlines and dies. So we did absolutely none of our chibi kid coloring on them, but we got 3 completely different, super fast to put together Slimlines. So again, this one is nice and three-dimensional. It doesn't catch on camera that well, but I love this one's probably my favorite because I just love the borders on it, and then I love the colors on there. So I appreciate you spending this time with me for our Expo special. If you just go to the website and go into the product categories, you'll see one that says Expo Specials, and we will have the products that we used on there on a special discount for you. That will include the builder dies, again, the builder dies, the 5 different slimline dies that we carry. Again, we use this one on the project. This is the one here with the doubled up frame, and then we use the chevron on our one on the bottom. And then we'll also have our shaker basics on sale for you, and we will also have our slimline card bases with matching envelopes and the embellishments. So have a great day. Thank you again for joining us. I hope you liked our presentation, and we will see you around. Make sure to also stop by our Facebook group, Stamp Anything Stampers, where we do color along videos, lots of lives over there with different techniques, and lots of fun. Okay, thanks guys. Have a good one. Bye.